Okay, let's unpack this.
Hmm.
Have you ever stopped to wonder, like truly wonder, how your body takes that sandwich you had for lunch or maybe those tacos from last night?
Yeah.
It actually turns them into the energy you used to walk up the stairs just now, or, the focus you have for this deep dive.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It's not just magic. It's this incredible process called metabolism.
It really is. It's like your body's own personal power plant. Metabolism is constantly converting food into fuel.
Right.
Through all these complex reactions happening inside your cells, just keeping everything running, whether you're, powering through a workout or completely at rest.
And for so many of us, metabolism feels like this fixed, sometimes frustrating number we blame for weight struggles. Like, oh, it's just my slow metabolism.
Mm-hmm. That's a common one.
But the sources you shared paint a much more, dynamic picture. It's not just about how fast you burn calories at rest.
No, not at all.
It's deeply, intricately linked to how we move and what we eat.
That's the critical shift in perspective these sources offer, I think. While your basal metabolic rate is a piece of the puzzle, it's far from the only factor.
Oh, right.
Your daily activity, your diet, even your sleep and stress levels, they all play a really significant role in how your body uses energy. One source even puts it quite directly.
Yeah.
Couch time affects weight more than metabolic fat.
Wow. That's a powerful statement. And exactly why we're doing this deep dive. We're going to take this collection of articles and research, pull out the most important insight, and really try to understand the detailed, sometimes surprising, relationship between exercise and metabolism.
Yeah, we'll guide you through the fundamentals, what metabolism is, explore what truly influences it beyond just genetics, get specific about how different types of exercise have distinct metabolic impacts.
And tackle some myths, too.
Oh yeah, definitely tackle some persistent myths along the way.
All right, let's open up this engine and see how it works.
So at its core, metabolism is just those chemical processes that keep you alive, converting food to energy, building, repairing tissues, clearing waste, that sort of thing.
The basics.
The basics. And a huge chunk of the calories you burn each day, somewhere between, say, 60 and 75%, is just for these basic life-sustaining functions when you're completely at rest.
Yeah.
That's your resting metabolic rate, or RMR.
Resting metabolic rate. So
Yeah.
just keeping the lights on, essentially.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And while some things influencing that rate are outside your control, what one source calls the metabolic avengers you can't fire,
I like that.
like your age, gender, and genetics.
The stuff you're born with,
Yeah,
can't change it.
right. But other factors are absolutely influenceable. Think muscle mass. It's a significant driver of your RMR.
Okay.
Your activity level, obviously. Even things like thyroid function, which, can be medically managed if there's an issue. But the key takeaway from the sources here is that body composition matters a lot.
Meaning like more muscle equals a higher resting burn.
Exactly. Muscle tissue is much more metabolically active at rest than fat tissue is. That's a really recurring theme in these sources.
Okay.
And again, that point about couch time just highlights that while RMR is foundational, your overall energy expenditure throughout the day often dwarfs those small differences in resting metabolism when it comes to, managing weight.
Okay, that reframes it. It's not just a fixed number. It's something we actually have influence over.
Right.
So let's talk about the big one. Exercise. How does moving our bodies actually boost this metabolic engine?
Well, it's fascinating because it's not just the calories you burn while you're doing the activity itself, right?
Right.
Exercise kicks off this whole cascade of processes that continue to burn calories and influence your metabolism long after you start moving.
The famous afterburn. I've heard of that.
Yes, that's EPOC, excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. Think of it as your body's post-gym janitor.
Okay.
Or maybe an after party where it works hard to return to its normal state. It's refueling energy stores, repairing muscle fibers, clearing out metabolic byproducts.
So the harder you worked, the more cleanup there is to do. Makes sense.
Generally, yes. And the sources use a great analogy here. Cardio, like running, that's a bonfire.
A bonfire.
Yeah, it burns hot and fast during the workout, using a lot of energy right then, but the residual burn afterwards is, relatively limited.
Okay, bonfire. And strength training.
That's more like building a fireplace.
The fireplace. Okay.
The calorie burn during a strength session might be moderate compared to an intense run, but the work required afterward to repair and build muscle is significant. That leads to sustained EPOC and, crucially, long-term increases in your resting metabolic rate.
Right. Looking at one of the comparison points in the sources, it clearly shows that difference. High calorie burn during cardio, lower post-burn, moderate burn during strength, but a boost to RMR over time.
It highlights why both are valuable but serve different metabolic purposes, And there's a really practical warning in there, too, the office chair sabotage.
Oh, right. Don't immediately sit for hours after a workout. I'm guilty of that sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. You can kind of undo some of that EPOC benefit if you go straight from the gym to just prolonged inactivity.
So exercise isn't just burning calories now. It's also prepping the body to burn more later and building the capacity to burn more all the time. The sources detail several ways this happens. Let's dig into some of those key mechanisms.
Okay, yeah. The first, and arguably the most powerful one, is increasing muscle mass. Muscle tissue is just incredibly important for metabolism.
It's like having permanent calorie-burning solar panels on your body, as one source puts it. That's a great visual.
Isn't it? That's such a great way to visualize it. Because muscle burns significantly more calories at rest than fat does. We're talking 6 to 10 calories per pound per day for muscle.
Wow.
Compared to only maybe 2 to 3 for fat. A study mentioned, I think, 30 minutes of weightlifting might burn around 126 calories during.
Okay, moderate.
Yeah, but the real metabolic gain is building that tissue that burns calories to 24/7.
It just becomes especially important as we get older, doesn't it? That loss of muscle mass.
Absolutely. We naturally lose muscle mass about 3 to 8% per decade after age 30. So resistance training is pretty essential to combat that decline and maintain that metabolic advantage.
Okay, another mechanism. Enhancing calorie burn during and after workouts. We kind of touched on this with EPOC.
Right, and this is where intensity really comes into play. High-intensity interval training, or HIIT, that really stands out.
HIIT.
It can burn 25 to 30% more calories per minute than steady-state cardio. And that EPOC, that afterburn we mentioned, can last up to 48 hours.
Hold on, 48 hours. So you get a more efficient burn during the workout, and the benefits keep going for 2 days.
Pretty much. Your body is just working really hard to recover from that intense effort.
Okay, what about how exercise affects our hormones? That seems important.
Yeah, definitely. This is point 3. Improving insulin sensitivity. Exercise helps your cells become more responsive to insulin.
Okay.
Which is critical for managing blood sugar. It's like upgrading your pizza response, making sure carbs are used for energy rather than being stored as fat.
Okay, so better carb handling, less storage. And point 4. Supporting hormonal balance.
This relates heavily to stress hormones, particularly cortisol. Chronic stress can elevate cortisol,
Right.
which signals your body to store fat, especially around the midsection. The sources call this the paranoid squirrel hoarding fat effect.
Paranoid squirrel. Okay, exercise helps with that.
Yeah, exercise helps regulate cortisol, mitigating that metabolic downside of chronic stress.
So exercise helps counteract that stress-fueled storage unit effect.
Exactly, which leads nicely into point 5, reducing fat storage overall. By improving insulin sensitivity, managing cortisol, and increasing calorie expenditure, exercise shifts your body away from fat hoarding and towards fat burning.
Makes sense.
And a combination of cardio and resistance training seems to be the most effective approach, according to the sources.
Okay, point 6 takes us back to RMR, boosting resting metabolic rate.
And this is primarily the domain of strength training. By increasing muscle mass, you directly increase your RMR by maybe 5 to 10%.
Sure.
It's like adding a turbocharger that boosts your baseline energy burn day in, day out.
Which makes total sense given what muscle burns at rest compared to fat.
Precisely. Point 7 is about enhancing cardiovascular health. Now, while this isn't directly a calorie-burning mechanism like muscle is,
Okay.
a healthy heart and efficient circulation mean your cells get oxygen and nutrients more effectively, and that supports all those metabolic processes that rely on them. Better delivery system.
Got it. And then 2 factors we often forget about, promoting better sleep, point 8, and reducing stress more generally, point 9. These feel linked.
They are, hugely. And so underrated for metabolic health. Quality sleep allows for important hormonal regulation that impacts metabolism. One source notes that an hour of good sleep can burn the equivalent of a metaphorical cheeseburger's worth of fat.
Wow.
Just through that metabolic regulation during sleep. And reducing stress through exercise, whether it's vigorous or something calming like yoga, prevents cortisol from doing its dirty work of directing fat straight to your belly.
It really paints a picture of how interconnected everything is. Exercise, muscle, hormones, sleep, stress. Wow,
Yeah.
Let's hone in on strength training again because the sources really seem to emphasize its foundational role for metabolism.
It really is the key to building that metabolic engine we talked about earlier. As we said, muscle is far more metabolically active at rest than fat is. Much more.
That's 610 calories versus 2-3 calories per pound. It really makes a difference over time, doesn't it?
It does, and one source offers a great tangible example. Adding just 5 pounds of muscle could mean burning an extra 30-50 calories per day at rest.
Okay, 30-50.
Over a week, that's roughly equivalent to an extra 1.5 slices of pizza you could theoretically enjoy without gaining weight, purely from that increased RMR.
That makes it feel very achievable and impactful. I like that pizza math. And how does resistance training specifically support weight loss beyond just that RMR boost?
Well, it triggers significant EPOC, as we discussed, keeping your metabolism elevated for up to 48 hours post-workout. And it's essential for preserving muscle mass as you lose weight. You want to ensure the weight you're losing is primarily fat, not that valuable, metabolically active muscle tissue.
Good point.
And it also directly combats that age-related muscle loss we talked about.
And you don't necessarily need a fancy gym membership to start, right?
Yeah.
The sources give some great practical tips.
Absolutely. Think Grandma's secret, carrying in all the groceries in one trip. That's
Wow.
resistance training.
Right.
Functional movements like that build strength. And you don't have to worry about becoming, a bodybuilder unless you want to. Light weights with higher reps can build muscle tone and metabolic support without significant bulk.
Right.
Even simple things like doing chair squats during TV commercials add up over time. Every little bit helps.
Okay, so strength training builds the engine and keeps it humming at rest. What about cardio? What role does that play specifically?
Cardio is more like your metabolism's workhorse for immediate calorie burn and boosting your body efficiency during activity.
The bonfire effect you mentioned.
Exactly. Endurance activities are like a reliable sedan, steady, consistent calorie burn during the exercise. Brisk walking, for instance, burns about 314 calories per hour for a 160-pound person.
Okay.
Running is closer to 606 calories per hour. Even something fun like dancing can torch around 219 calories hourly.
And consistent cardio has massive overall health benefits too, beyond just calories.
Definitely. Hitting that CDC recommended 150 minutes weekly significantly reduces the risk of many chronic diseases. The sources highlight the lunch break miracle. Even just 30 minutes on a treadmill can burn a respectable 300 calories.
Okay. And then there's HIT, the sports car of cardio.
Yeah, HIIT is the metabolism game changer for many people.
Yeah.
It burns significantly more calories per minute than steady cardio, like 25-30% more.
Wow.
A quick 20-minute session can torch 250-400 calories and provide that substantial EPC bonus burn for up to 48 hours.
Okay, so looking at that table again, while the calorie count during a moderate HIIT session might look similar per hour to running, the total impact over 48 hours is much higher with HIE because of that afterburn.
Precisely. The intensity just creates a bigger demand for post-exercise recovery. If you're new to HID, though, the sources suggest starting slow, maybe with baby intervals.
Baby intervals.
Yeah, like alternating short bursts of intense effort with longer recovery periods. And crucially, still avoid that office chair sabotage afterward. Don't sit right down.
Got it. Any other tips for getting the most out of cardio?
Well, there's this idea of metabolic confusion, basically. Mixing up your intensity and types of cardio. It can prevent your body from getting too efficient at one thing and keep the adaptations coming. Keep it guessing.
That makes sense. It sounds like variety in exercise is really key across the board, not just in cardio.
It really is. The sources mention dancing as a fun, effective, aerobic workout burning around 500 calories per hour. Remember, disco vacuuming counts as movement.
Huh. I love turning chores into a workout opportunity.
Totally. Swimming is another great low-impact, high-reward option. A tough stroke like butterfly can apparently burn up to 900 calories an hour.
900. Wow.
And even brisk walking, which is so accessible, makes a big difference. Pace matters, of course. About 3 miles per hour burns maybe 150 calories in 30 minutes. The tip is to pretend you're late for free cake.
Okay. That'll get me moving.
Or think of it like 1 hour gardening equals 1 slice of pizza earned in terms of calorie expenditure. Little motivators.
Those analogies make it so relatable. So basically, look for opportunities to move throughout the day. Take the stairs, park farther away, just add motion wherever you can fit it in.
Exactly. Every little bit adds up to your total energy expenditure, which is key. And maybe we should just quickly circle back to that afterburn effect, EPOC, because it's such a motivating concept for people.
Right, the body's cleanup crew working overtime.
Exactly right. It's busy restoring equilibrium after you've stressed the system. This post-workout burn can add an extra 6 to 15% to your total calorie expenditure for the day.
6 to 15%, okay.
And the messier the workout, meaning the higher the intensity, the more muscle breakdown, the longer that cleanup takes.
So HIT brings in the high-speed cleaning crew, basically.
Precisely. A short, intense HIIT session can keep your metabolism elevated for up to 48 hours. A steady-state workout, on the other hand, is more like slow but steady tidying with less lasting effect on EPOC.
How do you maximize that afterburn then? Is there a trick?
The sources suggest pushing your heart rate up to around 80% of your maximum during those intense bursts. Sprinting up a flight of stairs counts. Dancing like nobody's watching counts.
Okay, but a really important note from the sources here. Seems crucial.
Yes, absolutely. The afterburn is not a pizza coupon.
Right.
Burning an extra 300 calories over the next 48 hours is fantastic, but it doesn't magically erase a 500-calorie slice of pizza. Basic calorie math still applies. It's a bonus, not a license to just eat whatever.
Good reality check there. Speaking of consumption, let's talk about nutrition's role alongside exercise. The sources highlight this as a powerful partnership.
It absolutely is. They work together. Exercise makes your body more receptive to using nutrients effectively, and protein is really a standout player here.
The BFF for muscles, right?
For sure. It's essential for muscle repair and growth after exercise, which, as we know, directly supports that RMR boost, but it also has a higher thermic effect than carbs or fat.
Thermic effect, what's that?
It means your body uses more energy just to digest protein. We're talking 20 to 30% of the protein calories are burned during digestion.
Wow.
Compared to only 5-10% for carbs and maybe 0.3% for fat.
So you burn more calories just by eating and processing protein. That's interesting.
You do. The sources suggest aiming for around 30 grams of protein per meal to optimize muscle repair and synthesis. Plus, it's much more satiating, which helps you feel fuller longer, helps manage appetite.
Okay, protein is key. What about hydration? Seems basic, but is it important metabolically?
Oh, it's a completely stealthy metabolism ally. Being even mildly dehydrated can slow your metabolic rate by 2-3%. That's like driving with the parking brake on.
2 to 3%? Wow, that's actually significant for something so simple to fix.
It really is. And there's a quick tip mentioned. Drinking about 16 ounces of cold water can temporarily boost your metabolism by maybe 5% as your body expends energy just to warm it up. And proper hydration helps with fluid balance, countering the water weight myth people worry about.
So simple things like pairing protein with water, say like a post-workout Greek yogurt and a glass of water, make a real difference.
Absolutely. Little things add up. And let's not forget those other crucial factors the sources touch on. Sleep and stress, we mentioned them, but they deserve focus.
Yeah, often overlooked, but sounds like they're really impactful.
Hugely. Skimping on sleep tells your body something is wrong, basically making it conserve energy and hoard calories like a squirrel preparing for winter.
Okay.
One study showed just 4 hours of sleep for 5 nights slowed metabolism by 2.6%. Plus, your brain, when it's sleep deprived and low on energy, starts craving high-calorie, sugary foods.
So those late nights aren't just stealing time, they're literally raiding your metabolic pantry.
That's a perfect analogy. And a simple trick mentioned is setting your bedroom temperature to around 65 degrees F, about 18 degrees C. Apparently, that coolie temp might help optimize fat burning during sleep.
Interesting. And stress. Cortisol comes up again. Sounds like the bad guy here.
Yeah, chronic stress keeps cortisol high, which not only signals fat storage, but specifically directs it to the abdomen, creating that stress-fueled storage unit. It's cortisol's dirty work, as one source vividly puts it.
So even if you're eating reasonably well and exercising, chronic stress can kind of counteract those benefits metabolically.
It really can. Taking just 5 minutes for deep breathing costs nothing and can help counter the urge for stress eating. Or swapping late-night phone scrolling for a warm bath, another simple swap that benefits both stress and sleep and therefore your metabolism.
Okay. Before we wrap up, let's quickly debunk a couple of stubborn myths the sources address. First one, spot reduction. Can you really target fat loss?
The classic. The idea that you can do endless crunches to magically get rid of belly fat or inner thigh exercises to target only thigh fat, it's biologically impossible. Sorry.
Your body pulls fat from all over, right, like making a random ATM withdrawal.
Exactly. You can build muscle in a specific area, sure, and that muscle burns calories, but you simply can't tell your body where to lose fat from. There was that study mentioned where people did leg exercises but actually lost more fat in their arms than their legs.
No way.
Yeah. Muscle soreness is localized, fat loss isn't.
Okay, myth thoroughly busted. How about crash diets? They promise quick results.
Crash diets are metabolically counterproductive. Big time.
Yeah?
Your body perceives that extreme calorie restriction as a famine.
Uh-oh.
And it dramatically lowers your RMR to conserve energy. It basically unplugs your fridge, so to speak, to save power.
Like what happened with the contestants on that show, The Biggest Loser? I remember reading about that.
Precisely. Many saw their metabolism slow down significantly, by like 15–30%, making weight regain incredibly difficult even years later. Crash diets also accelerate muscle loss, which further lowers RMR, and they spike hunger hormones, making sticking to them almost impossible long term.
So it really backfires. A crucial survival tip from the sources is never to eat below your basal metabolic rate, BMR, right?
Yeah, your BMR is the absolute minimum your body needs just for basic functions, breathing, circulation, etc. Going below that is asking for trouble. Aim for a sustainable weight loss of maybe 1 to 2 pounds per week to preserve muscle and protect your metabolic rate. Slow and steady.
Okay, so we have all this great information. How do we take all this knowledge and actually put it into action? How do we build a sustainable exercise routine?
Well, the goal is consistency, right? Without it feeling like a punishment. The CDC guidelines are a good starting point. 150 minutes of moderate cardio and maybe 2 strength sessions weekly. But honestly, even 1 set of weightlifting counts. Start somewhere.
Start small. Is that the key?
Absolutely. The 5-minute rule is brilliant for this. Just commit to 5 minutes of movement. Today, a walk, some bodyweight squats. Tomorrow, maybe add another 5 minutes. Celebrate those tiny wins. Small, consistent changes are far more sustainable and effective than jumping into some drastic New Year's resolution that you abandon by February.
Find what works for you personally.
Exactly. Try to identify your exercise personality. Are you a gym rat who loves the buzz of the gym, or more couch to 5K, preferring solo walks or runs? If you hate running, don't force it. Try dancing or swimming instead. Love podcasts. Walking or using an elliptical is perfect for that.
And variety keeps it interesting and challenges your body in different ways, doesn't it?
Yes, the 3 M's of variety. Mix it up between cardio and strength. Make it fun. Find activities you genuinely enjoy, like disco vacuuming. And measure progress. Track consistency, steps, how your clothes fit, not just the number on the scale.
I like the idea of using tech for reminders, too. Our phones are always with us.
Yeah, your phone can be a great ally here. Set reminders for micro-workouts throughout the day, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, parking farther away, doing squats during TV commercial breaks. All that spontaneous motion, it adds up significantly over the day and week.
Okay, so if someone is listening right now and wants to take, like, one actionable step based on this deep dive, what would you suggest?
Just pick one small, consistent thing. Maybe it's doing 5 minutes of bodyweight squats while your coffee brews in the morning. Seriously, that's a great start. Or maybe it's using everyday items as resistance-carrying grocery bags, like they're dumbbells, doing farmer carries with milk jugs.
Get creative with it. Or use accountability.
Yeah, accountability helps. Text a friend a sweaty selfie after your walk. Or maybe try tracking just 3 things for 30 days. Your movement, minutes or steps, your protein intake, roughly, doesn't have to be perfect, and your sleep hours. Just see how small shifts in those areas make you feel.
The key takeaway being, what's the bottom line here?
Consistency with healthy eating and movement always, always trumps extreme, unsustainable crash efforts. Your metabolism is a dynamic system. It's not some fixed fate you're stuck with. And it responds best to steady, supportive habits over time.
This deep dive has really brought to light just how much influence we actually have over our body's energy engine through simple, consistent choices. It's really not about fighting a fixed metabolism, but more about building and optimizing the one we have.
Exactly. And by understanding these principles drawn from the sources we looked at, you're empowered to make choices that truly work with your body, not against it.
So maybe consider how these insights challenge the idea that your metabolism is just something you're stuck with. Ask yourself, what small, consistent change could you implement this week, starting today maybe, to start building that metabolic engine and harnessing your body's incredible capacity?
Think about that one step, that small change, and maybe just take it today.